Good morning, 5th grade. We're going to continue reading in our novel, Birch Bark House. Before we get started, we have a fill-in-the-blank summary. It says, Day returns home from his trip. It is almost as if the labors of their summer are under attack from Day's serious gaze. He is a tall man, respected, and also can be stern. Day discovers his family's corn crop under attack by greedy crows and turns to Omachius and Angeline to become human scarecrows and protect the crop. Walking in the fields, a deer steps out onto the path in front of them, looks at them kindly, and disappears. In the end, they not only scare the crows, but capture a number of them that are destined to become dinner for the family. As each is dying, Omachius whispers the words that she heard her grandmother use. Forgive us, we have need, we have need. One smaller bird is spared, and Omachius takes the wounded bird home. It is with pride that their father praises the girls as hunters. Press pause to write down your answers and play when you're ready for the focus question. Our focus question today is we're going to describe Day's point of view about the strange events he and his men experience when they pass through where the sisters eat. Our vocabulary words for today are resentful, and that's when you feel like you've been treated unfairly. So we have this girl who's gotten flowers and balloons in the hospital, and this person didn't get anything. They feel resentful. The next word is rapids, and that describes the part of a river that moves really fast, and it has it's very turbulent. It's going up and down, pretty dangerous. And then the last one is suspense, and that's this feeling of excitement or anxiety about what might happen next. All right, we're going to go ahead and turn the page, and we're going to read pages 61 through 71. And so on page 60, Day has, they just finished eating the crows for dinner, and I'm not sure why this is all lit up like that. They just finished eating the crows for dinner, and he's going to tell a story. Okay. We are at Omachius on page 61. Omachius wanted to ask her for a story. She's talking about Nokomis. Omachius wanted to ask her for a story, but she knew that Nokomis always refused, no matter how hard they begged, until the last frog was safely sleeping in the ground. Day, with his half-white blood, could often be persuaded because the stories he told were different from Nokomis's. Hers were Edisokan stories, meant only for the winter. Day usually talked about his travels, the places he'd seen, and the people, the close calls, the momentous encounters with animals, weather, other Anishinaabe, and best of all, ghosts. After he smoked his pipe, at Angeline's request, Day spoke. So we'll stop right there because we have information about the character and the setting. In box 1A, you would write, after dinner, Omachius wants to hear a story from her father. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready for the setting. In box 2A, we would write, at night, Day likes to tell stories about his travels while he smokes his pipe. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready to keep reading. All right, and so now Day is going to tell his story, and it's going to have a different character, setting, problem, and solution. All right, so we're at Day's ghost story at the bottom of page 61. We were coming out of the rapids about 2 days from Bawating, in a part of the river I knew all too well, when I tasted a storm. The last thing I wanted right about then was a storm. I wanted to get my men and our canoe past that spit of land. It's shaped like a little hook and juts out into the river. The name of that place is Where the Sisters Eat. I wanted to get past it because we were hoping to catch up with a certain trader and sell to him. Besides, as I'd heard it, nobody liked to camp there at Where the Sisters Eat. Strange things happened at that place. Still, when the sky opened up and rain poured down, I decided that my fears were foolish. As much as my men wanted to go on, I decided we had no choice. They grumbled, but we pulled on into shore, dragged our canoes up the drier ground under the pine trees. But then the rain was driving down hard. The wind was shaking the trees. There was no question of making a fire. We just had to wait it out in the cold, in the dark. So I heaped pine needles and soft branches in a bed, rolled myself underneath the canoe in my blanket. So far, everything was fine, I thought. Maybe the stories I had heard about the place were lies, things that never happened. I turned over to try to get a little sleep. We'll stop right there because we have information about the character and the setting of Day Day's ghost story. In box 1B, I should say B, we will write, while Day Day was on a trip, a storm was coming, and he had to stop at a place called Where the Sisters Eat, even though he didn't want to. Press pause, write down your answer, and play when you're ready for 2B. And the setting of Day Day's ghost story is at Where the Sisters Eat. It's a place. And so for 2B, we would write, people do not like to stop at Where the Sisters Eat because strange things happen there. Press pause, write down your answer, and play when you're ready for the problem. We're going to keep reading. We're at the bottom of page 62. I barely dozed off when a sudden shaft of lightning near struck a tree that crashed down in the woods. All I could do was hope I'd chosen a lucky spot where lightning wouldn't strike, where no tree would topple down. I should have taken my tobacco out right then and offered it up to the good spirits. I should have remembered my mother's ways, but I did not, and here is what happened after I fell asleep again the next time I awoke. I came awake with a jolt, uneasy, too quiet. That's the first thought I had, too quiet. No wind, no rain, no moonlight either. The clouds hung thick and heavy as a priest's black wool robe. I waved my hand in front of my face, couldn't see even the barest outline. That's how dark it was. That's when I heard them. I heard the women arguing over bones. There were, of course, no living women within hundreds of miles, but I was groggy and didn't think of that. All I could think of was how loud these women were talking. "Hey, you ladies, be quiet! Someone's trying to sleep here," I called. For a little while they lowered their voices, and then their argument broke out again, and they started to shout. They had settled down to quarrel near my canoe, and I was now steaming mad. "Becca Yan!" I yelled at them, loud and harsh, to be quiet. Again they lowered their voices, but just as soon as I got comfortable again and started to doze, they broke into a loud chatter once more. It wasn't that they sounded ugly. Their voices were high and sweet, though they were having a disagreement. It was just that they were so loud and right over my head sitting on the canoe. I heard their weight crack on the spruce ribs. Okay, we'll stop right there because we have information about the first problem. In box 3A, you were right. Day Day hears women arguing in the middle of the night. He gets upset because they are really loud and they are arguing in his canoe. Press pause, write down your answer, and play when you're ready to keep reading. "You be careful out there." I was getting even angrier. They took no notice of me, just continued their excited disagreement. Here's what they said. "You give me the first meat, sister. You take the first bone." "Give me the second meat, and you take the first bone." "I'll have the foot." "I'll have the head." "No, you won't. I'll have the head and the leg too, sister." "How shall we divide the others?" "Let's gamble for them." "Let's." "It's a good thing we raised that storm," said one of the sisters, laughing. "How else would we catch our food so easily?" "My stomach hurts," was the answer. "It's been a long time since we caught this many." And then all of a sudden I understood. I was the first meat, the second bone. The men were the food. The ghostly sisters had come to hold their feast, us. My sweat turned cold. I remembered all too well how bothersome bad spirits were, even dangerous. These ones had perhaps starved to death and were so eternally hungry. They themselves had revealed how they struck up a storm to force travelers to seek shelter. No wonder my men hadn't wanted to camp out on the spit of land called where the sisters eat. We'll stop right there because we have information about the second problem. In box 3B, you would write, Day realized that the sisters were evil spirits and arguing about how to eat Day and his men. Press pause, write down your answer, and play when you're ready to keep reading. We're in the middle of page 65. Day fell silent then and stared into the fire at the center of the wakagun. No one said a word. Even baby Niwu seemed to listen. Horrified, as Day thought about his next move, how he would save himself from the cannibal ghosts, Day finally went on. Here's what I did. Luckily, I thought of my father's advice. Never let fear take your mind away, he said. Always think. So instead of giving in to fear, I put fear aside and thought, and into my mind, once I let myself hear it, a plan came. Immediately, I put it into action. Bam, bam! I began to knock on the inside of my canoe. I huffed like a bear and shouted in a growly voice. Wasn't he delicious, this man? Best one I ever ate. Did you hear that? Said the sister above me. A bear has eaten some of our precious food. Turn the page. How does that bear steal from us? They were both furious, and to make them more furious yet, I stuck the butt of my rifle out and whacked one of their feet hard. Ow, ow, she cried. Why did you hurt me, my older sister? I didn't, said the older. Did too, shrieked the younger. You and that bear always lying and greedy. Me and the bear nothing. Take that. Ah! Day gave a horrifying shriek that made the skin on Akomas's neck crawl. Heart jolt, scalp tightened with fear. She snuggled deeper into the blankets and robes next to Grandma, who held her tight. Ah! Again, Day gave his version of the ghostly shriek. Big Pinch covered his head and crashed into Mama's lap. Day let a silence fall and then told the ending in a hushed, spooky tone. The two sisters began to hit at each other, first with their fists, then with sticks, then with rocks pulled from the ground. While they were occupied with trying to kill each other, I loaded my canoe quick as could be. I could hear the others doing the same. No doubt, listening to the sisters' plan to eat us, the men had been shaking in their blankets. Just as we were pushing off, one of the sisters noticed us leaving, and with a scream, she bounded toward us. I was the last one out, steering from behind. I shouted to my men, Paddle, men, paddle hard! Still, the evil sister managed to grab my shirt and rip it almost to shreds. Just see! We'll stop right there because we have information about the solution. In box 4, you would write, Day pretended to be a bear and tricked the sisters into fighting each other. While the sisters fought, Day and his men were able to escape. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready for the quote. And you would write down this quote at the top of page 67, and then you would do the paragraph. Describe Day